start. This is lesson 65, factoring the GCF. The goal for today, your objective is students will factor the GCF out of an expression. So one of the key words here is factoring. So we talked about GCF yesterday, which was greatest common factor. You all learned that yesterday, right? Yes? Okay. So factoring is a word you already know, but this is a big emphasis for this next unit. Factoring means to break something apart. So, for example, you all should know what a factor tree is, but for example, if I have a 12, right, what are the factors of 12? I can make a factor tree, so looking up here, everyone, 12 is just like saying 3 times 4. 3 is prime, so I could circle that, and 4 is like saying 2 times 2. These are both prime, right? So would you agree that 12 is the same thing as saying 3 times 2 times 2? Yeah? So these are the factors of 12. 3 and 2 and 2 are factors of 12. Make sense? Turn to your neighbor, remind them how to make a factor tree just really quick. 10 seconds. Okay, so a factor, when we say factoring in math, it's like we are breaking things apart. It's like we're almost kind of like dividing things, but at the very end, I know that 2 times 2 times 3 is 12, right? What's 2 times 2, everyone? 4 times 3? 12, right? Does that make sense? Our factors need to multiply into our original problem, okay? This is stuff you already know. This is background knowledge. So big idea is we're breaking things apart now. We're not multiplying, but we're doing the opposite. We're breaking it apart. Factoring means to break apart. Factoring means to break apart. What does factoring mean? Okay, good. Turn to your neighbor and tell them factoring means to break apart. Okay, good. All right. So steps are here. They're also on the board. So if you're on the video, please pause here and write these down. Okay. And here we go. I'm going to show you how to do numbers 1 and 2. So eyes up here, pencils down. Eyes up here, pencils down. Eyes up here, pencils down. We have 36K plus 16. So I got two numbers. We're just going to go back to what you learned yesterday with Miss Good. Okay? So looking at my coefficient 36 and 16, I'm going to pull them aside. I want to make sure that I pick the greatest common factor. Some of you are going to get really good at this, and you can do this in your head. Raise your hand if you could do this one in your head, the factoring, or GCF, okay? So if you don't know how to do it, you just take the two numbers to the side, and I'm going to make a factor tree of each. And I kind of have an idea that 4 is going to be a big deal, because I know 4 goes into 36 and 16. And these are really the greatest common factors, right? You see there's a 4 here, there's a 4 here, right? So these are both our common factors, and they're the biggest ones, right? Can I do anything with 9 here in this 4? No. So my GCF, the coefficient at least is 4. Then I ask myself, look at both of these terms. Do they have a common letter in both terms? Yes or no? No. So 4 is my GCF. Then I'm going to open parentheses, okay, and then I take the original problem. What's 36K divided by 4? It is 9K, right? Or another way to look at it, what's 36 divided by 4? 9. K divided by nothing here is still K, okay? Then we have positive 16 divided by 4 is positive 4. And then I close parentheses. Then I want to make sure it's in descending order. Eyes up here, eyes up here. It is already. We have K to the first power, okay? So then I box my answer, right? And I know I did it correctly because I could still check my work. If I were to multiply this out or distribute the 4 here, wouldn't I still get my original problem? Would you agree? What's 4 times 9K, everyone? 36K. 4 times 4 is? Good. Did I get my original problem? So we want to check our work, right? So that's how we do number 1, okay? So factoring means to what? Break apart. Good. Okay, so how did I just do this? Okay, first thing I identified the GCF. The GCF I said was 4. Then I divided each term by the GCF. I wrote down 4 and I said, what's 36K divided by 4? 9K. 16 divided by 4 is positive 4. Then I rewrote the expression in the parentheses in descending order, which is 9K plus 4. And then write the GCF in front of the parentheses, okay? Which I already did that. That's number 1, okay? Watch me do number 2. It's a little bit bigger. Still, it's okay. Look at number 2. We have 18, 54, negative 9, and 27. What's a common number that goes into all of these? Well, I'm going to do my factor trees. And I have an inkling that 9 might be it. So I know that 18 is 9 times 2. 54 is 9 times 6. 9 is 9 times 1. And 27 is 9 times 3. Right? What's the common factor in all of them? That's the greatest common factor? 9, right? So I'm going to circle 9 in each of these, right? So that's my common factor. Then I ask myself, looking at all my terms, what letter is in all my terms? Is there a letter that's in all of my terms? Well, there's a P to the 5th here. There's P's here. There's P here. Is there a P here on my constant term? No. So I can't factor out a P. So that's not going to be part of my GCF. So then I'm going to write down 9, open parentheses. Then I ask myself, what's 18 divided by 9? 2. Since P to the 5th can't be divided by anything else, we're just going to bring that down. And then we got positive 54 divided by 9 is going to be positive 6. P squared, bring it down. Then we got negative 9 divided by 9 is negative 1, right? And the P comes down. P comes down. Now it says negative 1P, but I don't really necessarily have to have that negative 1. And then positive 27 divided by 9 is positive 3. Okay? So, then I ask myself, is it in descending order? What's the largest exponent in my answer? 5. So it goes first. Then P to the 4th. Are there any P to the 4ths in my answer? No. P to the 3rds? No. P squared's next. Then P to the 1st, and then constant term. Since it looks already, I want it to be organized. It has to be organized, otherwise it's kind of wrong, okay? Then it's done. We just box your answer. And that's it. We're done with number 2. Okay? Questions on numbers 1 or 2 before we start talking? Y'all good? So this is building off what you learned yesterday. Now we're going to start breaking it apart, right? Because factoring means to what? Break apart. Okay, good. So let's have you talk first before you write. So before you start writing, let's have choose tell the ones about number 1 and one thing on here. Let's go to number 3. We're going to do number 3 together for the most part, okay? So number 3. Okay, let's just write down number 3 right now. Negative 35 minus 21p to the 4th. Okay? So turn to your neighbor. What do you notice, first of all, in both of these terms that both terms definitely have? Okay, what do you notice? Turn to your neighbor, and what's something that's in both of them? What do both terms have? A negative sign, right? So we both know that they both have a negative sign. So I'm just going to write this on the side. GCF, and it should have a negative sign. Okay? Oh boy. Sorry about that. And then, of course, what is the factor that goes into both of them? 7. So negative 7 is our GCF. Okay? So we're doing this together first. All right? And then I got one more question. Before we know this is our GCF, is there a letter in both of our terms? No. So is there anything else I could add to my GCF? No. Okay, that's it. We're done with the GCF. This is yesterday's lesson. Now we're going to work on today's part of the lesson, which is factoring, which means to break apart. So we're going to take negative 7, bring it down like this. Okay, open parentheses. Okay. Turn to your neighbor. Tell them what's negative 35 divided by negative 7. What is it, everyone? 5. Good. Okay, so we're going to write down positive 5. And then what's negative 21 p to the 4th divided by negative 7? Turn to your neighbor. Tell him or her what it is. What is it, everyone? 3, right? P to the 4th, right? Now these get a little confusing, so here, let me show you a little trick on how to do this. Just work on the number first. What's negative 21 divided by negative 7? Positive 3. Okay, so we don't want to deal with the letters yet. Again, focus on the number first, negative 21 divided by negative 7, positive 3. And then we go back to letter. P to the 4th. Is P to the 4th being divided by anything here by our factor? No, so we just bring it down. Okay? Does that make sense? So just work slowly, all right? Are we done yet? No, let's look at step 3. Is it in descending order? No. What's the largest exponent in my parenthesis? 4. So we want to take that term and put it first. Okay, so we're going to rewrite this as negative 7, open parentheses, and we said that positive 3p to the 4th comes first. Okay? And then we put the next term, any p to the thirds, no, p squared, it's p to the first, no, there's just positive 5 here. Close parentheses. And that's it. That's your answer. So I want to make sure you are paying attention, so I'm going to ask you to put your whiteboards up so I know that you are focusing. Okay? And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Number 4, here we go. I'm going to erase or show you number 4 now. Okay, turn to your neighbor. Looking at just the coefficients of our numbers, what's the GCF of our numbers alone? What's the GCF of numbers alone? Turn to your neighbor and identify what it is. Okay, what is it, everyone? 9. Good. So we're going to write, just to keep our information organized, we're doing what we did yesterday. We're going to have 9 be part of our GCF. Is there any... Now we're going to focus on the letters. Of all of our terms, are there any common letters in all of our terms? Are there any common variables in all 3 terms? What's the common variable? N. So let's put down N. Okay? And the shortcut to find the GCF here, or the N to the power, just pick the smallest power. What's the smallest power for our N's, everyone? N to what power? 1, right? So we're just going to leave it alone, right? Because that's our GCF. Okay? Next thing we want to do is bring down 9N. Open parentheses. I'll start us off here on this example. Working slowly. Let's focus on the numbers. 27 divided by 9 is 3. Good. N cubed divided by N is... Okay, we talked about this before. N cubed divided by N. This is N to the first. N cubed divided by N is N squared. Okay? Turn to your neighbor, explain why N cubed divided by N is N squared. Okay? Just remind them how to do this. Okay, well, you take N cubed. This is N to the first. You subtract the exponent. So what's N cubed divided by N? N squared, because we're dividing. Okay, let's just start this next term, and then you're going to finish it off. What's negative 9 divided by 9? 1 or negative 1? Negative 1. And N squared divided by N is N, okay? Just a quick reminder, what's anything divided by itself? What's anything divided by itself, everyone? Okay, good. Finish up my problem. Go. The answer here is positive, or 3n squared minus n plus 1, right? Because what's 9 divided by 9? 1. N divided by n? What's anything divided by itself? 1, right? So what's 1 times 1? Positive 1. Okay? If you made a mistake, please show your neighbor where you made a mistake. Don't erase it, and tell them how you're going to fix it, okay? Everyone's talking to their neighbors right now. Go.
Because anything divided by itself is 1.
Does that make sense, Marky?
The lesson?
No, what you just said. Okay, number 5. Here we go. Number 5. Okay, I'll start us off, and then you'll finish. Okay. So number 5. Let's write this down first before we start. We got 28x plus 21x cubed minus 70x to the 4th. Okay, everyone's writing this problem down. We start by writing the original problem, just like in homework. Okay. Looking at just the numbers, turn to your neighbor and identify what the GCF of the numbers is. What's the GCF of the numbers? Okay, so what is the GCF, everyone? 7, good. Just the number, right? Now, what letter is in all 3 terms? X, okay, good. And what's the largest, or I'm sorry, what's the smallest exponent of the x's? 1. So our GCF has to be 7x to the first power. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's bring down 7x now. Open parentheses, and I'm going to have you finish this problem up. I'll check on you in 1 minute. You'll finish this up. Go.
See all those ways.
And how you could fix it next time. Remember, let's take an attempt on number 6 by themselves.
That concludes the lesson, sorry.